Discovering Grace, samen op reis om de zingeving in je leven te ontdekken, heet iedereen welkom en biedt een warme en open ruimte voor discussie, begrip en persoonlijke groei. Bereid je voor om geïnspireerd en geraakt te worden door de verhalen en ervaringen van mensen die obstakels hebben overwonnen en zo de kracht en liefde hebben ontdekt. Ik hoop dat deze podcast een baken van hoop in deze digitale wereld mag zijn. Ga met ons mee op deze bijzondere reis, terwijl we de diepte van geloof, liefde en genade verkennen. Goedendag allemaal en welkom bij een nieuwe aflevering. En fijn dat jullie erbij zijn en mee willen luisteren. We hebben een hele speciale gast, a special guest today, Karen Metham, from the United Kingdom. Yes, it's always been a thing, United Kingdom, what is it, Britain? Welcome, Karen.
Thank you so much. Yeah, do you know what? I still get confused. Is it like United Kingdom, British Isles? There's so many different.
What do you normally say? Where are you from? The UK?
I just say England now.
England, yeah. Okay, welcome, and it's such a pleasure to have you here and talk with you about your testimony and your purpose and what your purpose is actually. So
yeah, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I can't wait to, just see what questions you ask.
Well, first question. Who are you and where you come from? Well, United Kingdom then, but what is your background? How, where did you grow up? Stuff like that.
Okay, so I'm, as I say, from England. I'm from the north of England. So if you ever watch Last of the Summer Wine, James Herriot, All Creatures Great and Small, all those, that's the area that I live in the UK. I'm about 3 hours away from London, so love living up in the north. It's so beautiful. And I've actually stayed in the same city my entire life. I have never moved to a different city. So I think that's just because I love being close to my family.
Yeah.
I love, having roots, but I'd also, in the future, love to travel to different places. I work as a sign language interpreter.
Okay.
I've been doing that for 30 years now.
Okay.
Which is a long time. And I thought, I've probably been doing it about 20 years. But then when I did the math, I'm like, no, I'm older than what I actually think I am.
I know that feeling.
Yeah, so I've been married for 23 years.
Okay.
I have 4 boys, and our first grandson was born in the summer. So
oh wow.
Yeah, so we're getting to the point where the children they've all left home, and then they'll come back occasionally. So we've got one back at home at the moment until he's ready to kind of move on again.
Yeah.
So we're in that season of empty nesters, not empty nesters.
Yeah.
They keep going, they keep coming back.
Oh, nice. And you say you are a new grandmother. How is that?
I love it. It's so good, but it just was a shock to my system when my firstborn had his firstborn.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's really kind of, he's been married they've been married for 4 years. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
But he's so gorgeous because Malachi's beautiful. He's lovely.
What a beautiful name.
Malachi Zander. It's beautiful.
Beautiful name. Wow. Oh, bless him.
So yeah, he's gorgeous.
You, in your younger years, how did you develop? Did you grow up in a family that was Christian? Did you grow up in a family that was not, didn't have any belief? Or how did you end up growing into the kingdom of God?
That's a great question. I remember myself making a decision to follow Jesus when I was 7 years old. And I
Wow.
think my parents had only just become Christians before that, but it was very much a decision that I made for myself when I went to a Sunday school meeting
Yeah.
that they took me to.
Wow. And how did that road, how did that go for you then? How did you develop?
It was an interesting time because we my mum and dad went to the Methodist church,
Yeah.
but then we also, like, on special occasions like Easter, Christmas, times that, like, during the summer, we very often used to go to the local Pentecostal church.
Yeah.
And so I kind of grew up with these very different views of God
Okay.
just because of the way that they were taught. I mean, we used to laugh about, like, the Methodists. We used to call it a hymn sandwich
And why?
meeting because it was like a hymn, a prayer, a hymn, a Bible reading, a hymn, a preach, a
Yeah,
hymn,
yeah.
and then you go home, and that
Yeah.
was it.
Okay.
And they were 1 hour long, and
Oh,
that was it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But in the Methodist church, we were brought up that Sundays were God's day. And I mean, obviously, back in when I was 7 years old, a lot, like, the shops were closed anyway.
Yeah.
There were no shopping malls, no shopping centres that were open, none of the
True.
mainstream shops.
Yeah.
It was only the local corner shop that was open anyway if you wanted to buy bread or milk.
Yeah.
But we couldn't do anything on a Sunday. So we couldn't play out with our friends. We couldn't go outside
Oh,
the house unless it was for a family walk together, for family time. And it really was like taking the Sabbath day, but making it so restrictive
oh,
rather
okay.
than the heart of, do you know what? This is a time that we get to spend time together as a family.
Yeah.
Um, so we had that, but then alongside going to the Pentecostal church,
Yeah.
where you had the freedom of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Um, I was I received the gift of the tongues when I was 9 years old. So I
Wow.
was really fully aware of not just of God, but of the Spirit of God and of the fruits of the Spirit, the gifts of the Spirit. I was aware really early on of all things kind of in the supernatural
Yeah,
realm.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I was kind of like balancing this, or it's like, well, I can't go out on a Sunday to play with my friends, but God's trusted me with the gift of, God's given me the
Yeah.
gift of tongues.
Yeah.
And so we kind of like, it was almost a really
Uh,
interesting balancing
yes, yes.
act.
I can imagine that. And confusing also.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, you grow up to a certain age, you get baptized,
Mhm.
and then your new life with Christ starts. That's how we say it normally.
Yeah.
But in your case, was that true? Did you start your new life, or did you, yeah, what did you do? How did it feel for you? Stuff like that.
I think because I was aware and I knew of Jesus from such a young age, I
Yeah,
kind of grew up with him, and he really was my friend growing
yeah.
up. Um, and he helped me through some really tough times. And
Okay.
I think very often, like, he was the only person that I could go to because I didn't have many friends at school.
Yeah,
I didn't have many friends growing up. And it's the one thing that I used to pray for
yeah,
when I used to go to sleep at night. And I used to say to my mum, can you just pray that I would get one friend?
yeah,
That's all I want, is just one friend that we can be good friends through school, because I don't want any of this nastiness or
yeah, yeah,
gossiping or some of the things that goes on.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah,
want a nice friend.
yeah.
And Jesus became that friend really for me,
Okay.
so he was my source of, I would
Did
go to him with things when other things didn't make any sense.
okay. And did you had that prayer fulfilled? Did you got a nice friend in your life?
I think not growing up, not,
No.
you know, no. And it's like, and I find it really interesting because we say that we make friendships,
Yeah.
and it really is true. And I think for a lot of people, it really is like um, of vulnerability almost, to say, well,
Yeah.
I'm going to go on this journey with this new person to see where this takes us,
Yeah.
because there's no guarantees of friendships.
No.
You know, there's people walk in and out of your life in any number of reasons.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if you hold that lightly,
Yeah.
rather than, because I think I was holding it so close to my heart
Yeah.
that this is what I wanted. I'd seen my mum and her best friends. They became friends at 15 years old in the local factory where they met.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're both 75 years old now, and they've had like a 60-year friendship.
Friendship.
They've
Yeah.
kind of like gone through,
Yeah.
you know, being there at each other's engagements and marriages and
Yeah.
births of the children and
Yeah.
all the way through.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that's the kind of friendship that I was looking for and didn't get. And I ended up with this whole kind of mixture of people walking in and out of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, if I look into my life, I always believed that if you would make a friend, he or she would stay forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember, because I never had much friends. Yeah. And even till this day, I don't have much friends. Yeah. But the people that are close to my heart are very important to me. Yeah. And but the first time when I had a friend that I could connect with very well, she and I, we were friends for 7 years, and then she left due to something, due to a situation. And I was completely shocked. Yeah, how could she do that to me, basically? Because, you know, my thought was we would stay friends forever. Yeah. And that was also the time that I learned that some people come into your life for just a small amount of time and others last forever. But yeah, that
excuse me. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I saw a quote the other day, and it really struck me, that they said, like, when it comes to friendships, they said, I would rather have 5 20-pence pieces than 100 pennies.
Yeah.
And that really hit, because I'm like, yeah, because I know the friends that I can trust people with. Like when Malachi was born, I was almost at a place of like, I don't know who to share this. Like, I've got this really exciting news.
Yeah.
I want to share it with somebody. I want to, because like, obviously I'm not, like, my husband's there, my son, daughter-in-law. It's like, who do I get to share this with first? And there was part of me that's thinking, I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who I want to share this with first. And I've got this amazing news. I've just become like a nana for the first time.
Yeah.
I want to tell somebody. I want to share my excitement with somebody. And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think on the reverse as well, when there's times that I've really needed prayer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I'm going through this with my kids.
Yeah.
They really need prayer, or I'm going through this, I need prayer. Again, it was the thing of, I'm not sure who to ask on this, because it's not just a thing of, I want to share some news. It's actually, this is my family that I'm protecting as well. So I need to make sure that whatever I share with them stays with them.
Yes, and that's very important.
Yeah.
But it's also a quality that a friend needs to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. Well, okay. So you didn't got a physical friend in your growing up time, but you got Jesus and you shared everything you had with him. Do you still do that?
Oh yeah, I chatted to him all day.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's like, and actually stopping to listen.
Yeah.
Because I can talk the hind leg off a donkey. I can talk so much. And for
That's
me,
a nice thing to say. You can talk the head of a donkey.
Yeah, talk the hind leg off a donkey. That's what my mum always used to say to me. You can talk the hind leg off a donkey.
Yeah.
Like the back leg of a donkey.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it's actually pausing to listen, because I know that he's got so much to say to me as well. Yeah. So if I fire off 10 questions to him in a day, like, when do I stop to actually listen to what he's got to say about that?
Yeah, that's really a thing. We talk a lot, but do we listen also?
Yeah.
Yeah, do we spend the time in quiet
Mhm.
to actually hear what he has to say?
Mm,
Because I truly believe God is talking to us
yeah.
continuously.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
And I think as well, it's like, do we listen in order to learn and understand?
Yeah.
Or do we listen in order to reply straight back?
Yeah.
Because sometimes, even in conversation, when somebody's asking us a question, we're already starting to, or somebody's talking to us about something, we're already formulating a reply before they've even finished.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't speak to let them know that we've understood their hearts. We're kind of speaking because we want to get our next point across.
Yes.
And I think that's a huge thing in
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Truly. Yeah. I remember a thing when my husband passed away, as you know. But my husband and I had a thing. If I really, for example, wanted him to listen and not instantly come with, oh, and you can do it like this and you can do it like that. Yeah, the solutions. I said, okay, sweetheart, listen with your heart. And
Mm.
then he would know, okay, I need to listen and not speak.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. People, and majority of the men have that. They want to come with solutions and how to fix your problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's also important when we speak to God, that
Mhm.
we wait that he can talk and not constantly reply back. So we need to listen with our heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Say, Karen, your process with the Lord, yeah, you've been to, um, you've been on mountains and you've been in the depths and you had your issues and problems. Um, how did you manage with him by your side? What do you do when you are in your low point?
I think that's when I spend more time with him. I spend a lot of time journaling. And
Okay.
that's the time when I can empty my head of all the questions that I have.
Yeah.
And that's the time when I do ask a lot of questions. And I'm like, well, what about this? And what about this? And why that? And what do I do in this? And did I hear right? And did I say right? And so it's almost like any questions, whichever language it comes out in, however, whether it's sad, whether it's angry, to allow that language, to allow it to come out,
Yeah.
to sit with that, and then I sit and pray, and I'm like, God, what do you want to say to me in that? And then sometimes I'll just pick up the Bible and just look through. Maybe I'll kind of like get a thing of, I'll go to Psalms, go to Proverbs, and I'll sometimes get a thing of, well, I'll just look through Matthew.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'll see what God wants to say. And I also almost start off a response to what I've written. And I will say, my dear daughter.
Yeah.
And then I'll wait and I'll almost write as though it's God talking back to me.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then some of it is like, whether that's me or whether that is God talking through me with
Yeah.
what I'm writing out,
Yeah.
it's like at the end of it, at the end of that, it's like, I know that I've had a conversation with God, because so many of those questions have been answered, whether that's been through Bible verses, whether that's been through the response in what I've written.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just allowing like the Holy Spirit to say, God, just what do you want to say to me
Yeah.
in this? And I think when you open your, mind to say, God, when you sort of like write down, my dear daughter, I mean, that changes things anyway,
Yeah.
because you're recognizing who you are in him,
Yeah.
that he is my father,
Yeah.
and he wants to speak to me today.
Yeah, true, true. That's really powerful, that writing.
Mm.
communicate with him on that level.
Yeah.
Indeed.
And I think not being ashamed of the feelings that you do write down, because I was trying to write it out really neatly and nicely.
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, that's not what I'm feeling. This is what I'm feeling. And just allowing it to come out as it is, because very often you can go back to that point and you can sort of see how God's broken through. And it's like, wow, that's what I thought at that time.
Yeah.
This is where I am now with it.
Yeah.
So it is powerful. It's good.
Amazing, actually. Yeah. Yeah. Suggestions. If you are searching for God, what would be the first step that you would recommend to someone?
I think for me is just ask him, just talk to him. And it's like, there's sometimes we can put this thing on prayer or connecting with God, that it's like this really deep spiritual thing that happens. And yes, there is that part to it, but you don't need to change who you are to come to God. You don't need to change your language and the way that you speak to come to God. You know, even like if your language is peppered with swear words and it's peppered with all this kind of thing, come to God in where you're at right now, because he's okay to handle a few swear words. He's okay to handle you as you are, because he loves you exactly where you are right now. So we don't need to put on this real spiritual religious language that kind of, oh Lord, thank you so much, that we have to. And I've seen friends that have completely changed their voice in order to pray to God, and I'm like, you would never speak to me like that. You would never dream of speaking to me like that. So why are you talking to God like that?
Yeah.
And so for me, it is like, just start talking to him and asking him for, God, can you let me know if this is right, what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Can you, and I guarantee that he will show me something, whether it's on a billboard, whether it's on the side of a bus, whether it's a Bible verse that comes to mind. There will be something that I will know, okay, I know God's spoken to me in that.
Yeah. The experience that I have is he will transform you eventually, and you don't even know sometimes that it's happening. Yeah, I've grew up on the streets too, so my language when I first came to God was completely different than the language I speak now, basically. And sometimes when I'm angry, I still get back to that language.
Me too. Me
I'm not
too.
perfect.
But you know what? God's a bit hood as well sometimes. I'm sure he is.
Yeah. But
But I think sometimes we, especially when we're looking for God and we're going on that journey of searching for God, very often I think we feel as though we have to change before we find him.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, you know, if I want to lose weight and get fit, get healthy and go to the gym, that would be like me going on that journey by myself.
Yeah.
You know, the whole reason I joined a gym is because I want to go on that journey, starting where I am right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's why people go on a journey of finding God, but very often thinking, oh, but I'm not good enough and I do this and I need to change this, and he can't meet me where I'm at. And he met me in so many muddy places, so many messy places, and he came right down and not just sat there with me, but lifted me out of it.
I know where you're coming from, Karen. Yeah, especially if you are really down and you don't think you see the light, he always comes searching for you. Yeah, and that's truly amazing about God.
It is.
Yeah, he doesn't turn his back on you when you can't see it for that time. No, he will always contact you. Always. Yeah. Well, now you are all grown up. And, or at least I hope so.
Well, I'm trying. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Well, that's what they say. When you are a certain age, you are grown up. What do you do now in the kingdom of God? What is your purpose? What do you love to do? Where do you get your happiness from? And what do you see happening?
Okay, so as I say, I've been working as an interpreter for about 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've always felt as though I've wanted more. And that's not that I'm not content with where I am, because I've absolutely loved interpreting.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, I saw a photo of a microphone in front of an audience, and I had such an emotional response to that. And I'm like, God, I don't understand why I've had such a reaction to that photo, because I don't speak.
Yeah.
I interpret somebody else's message. So whether that's somebody, signing, or whether it's me speaking English, whichever it is,
Yeah.
it's always somebody else's message. And God said, yeah, but now it's time for you to bring your message to other people.
Okay.
Of what I've done. And I'm like, oh, okay. So for me to stand on stage, I am totally comfortable with standing on stage, because I've been doing it years, whether that's been at theatre or conferences, or I've not had an issue with that. But when he said to me, now you get to bring your message of what I've done in your life, you get to bring a message to other women.
Yeah.
Then I was like, oh, now I get to create the message that he's given me to bring.
Yeah. Amazing.
And so that was really powerful.
Yeah.
So I started going on courses and self-development.
Yeah.
To look at how I could improve the message that I bring.
Okay.
Because I'd never done any kind of speaking before where it was my thoughts, because obviously as an interpreter, I'm there to work, and my thoughts and views, like they never come out in my work.
No.
So even if I work in a situation that for me is really contentious, and I'm like, oh, I don't agree with anything that's going off in this conversation.
Yeah.
The views are completely different. Thankfully, my views don't come out.
Yeah.
They don't in any situation that I'm in.
Yeah, you are there to interpret what
I'm there to interpret.
what the other
I don't
person
need
is saying.
my views and opinions.
Yeah.
So for God to give me the freedom to say, now you get to bring your message.
Yeah.
Is like, oh, that's going to be different.
And how do you bring your message?
So I started asking God for opportunities.
Yeah.
Like, just please give me opportunities to speak to women, whether that's women that I've met online.
Yeah.
Whether that's I get to speak into their lives, or whether it's like this and being invited to speak on a podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That was, I think, in 2 years ago. I think I put down as one of my goals that I wanted to speak on 10 different podcasts.
Okay.
Or was invited to speak somewhere. And I think that happened, well, it's been a lot more than 10 podcasts this year. Where I've been asked to speak. So I think just asking God and sort of like, give me the opportunities.
Okay. And what is your subject? Where do you speak over? What is it what is your main message, so to say?
I think my underlying passion is for women to see themselves the way that God really created them to be.
Yeah.
As his daughter, and for us to stop feeling so much shame and guilt over so many things that we hold as women. And I think for me, I know that there are women out there that have passions in their life. They've got dreams in their heart.
Yeah.
That they wanted to do.
Yeah.
So whether that is like to write a book, to actually perform, to, sing a song, to start a ministry.
Yeah.
And I think so many people, so many women have put that off because the question, like, well, who am I to do that?
Yeah.
And so for me, even if they, do you know what, even if they pick up the phone and go Facebook Live for the very first time,
Yeah.
I will celebrate. I will celebrate so much of that, because that is a huge step for somebody to take.
Yeah. I still need to take it.
I can't believe you've not done that yet.
Yeah, no. I am like, oh, what should I say then?
I should interview you on Facebook Live. That can be your first one.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're welcome to do so. So,
So
yeah,
that is part of my passion, because I know that I've had to, once you release the guilt and once you walk out of the shame,
yeah,
not just of things that you've done wrong, but shame of things that you want to happen. And God showed me that so clearly
yeah,
at the beginning of this year. And I'm like, I want this. I want to see people set free. I want to earn more income so that I can invest more into the kingdom. And he's like, well, stop holding shame over the fact
yeah,
that you want to earn more money.
yeah,
And it really shook me, because I'm like, wow, I've held shame over wanting that
yeah.
for so many years.
I think the
And he's like,
majority does.
I
Yeah,
actually put that desire in your heart
yeah,
to create more wealth so that you can
yeah.
be a blessing to the kingdom. And I'm like, oh, duh.
Yeah. I know. Yes. I had that too.
Mm,
Exactly. That issue with money and doing your work in God's kingdom,
yeah.
basically.
And
Yeah.
he's like, why are you holding shame
Yeah.
over something that I put in your heart?
Yeah. Also, because traditional church is teaching you should not ask money for the things you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be given freely. And I think
Yeah.
at a certain point there is some truth in there. Yeah, to a certain point. But if you're truly investing and yeah, you can't live off thin air.
No.
So that's for one. And for two, God is asking us, yeah, to invest in his kingdom as well. And you can't do that only by giving your time.
Yeah.
World is not turning on time itself alone. So yeah, I truly hear you there. Definitely.
And
There's
I think if I was to ask 100 women, right, if I was to give you £5,000 right now, €5,000 right now,
yeah,
and it could only go to bless somebody else,
yeah,
I know that I would get 100 different responses, and those responses would come instantly.
yeah,
I'd send it there, I'd give it to that person, I'd
yeah,
bless that
yeah.
person. And I think with guys, they'd be like, can I invest it so I can get more? Or do I have to do that?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah,
think with women, it's be like, no, this is where it would go.
yeah,
And they would already have, I think, a cause in mind, or
yeah,
somebody in mind that they would give that £5,000
yeah,
to. It's
yeah,
like, that's my heart. I want to
yeah,
bless. I
yeah.
want to be a blessing to people.
Yes, same here, same here.
Yeah.
And I think that's really beautiful. Yeah. There's one thing that I got a revelation on a few months back, pretty recently. Is I've always thought that women were created to be a helper for the men. Yeah, and they said, yeah, men and women are equal. Yeah, but the man is the head of the household, and he makes all the decisions, and the woman is basically, yeah, I don't know the English phrase for it, but under him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of women these days, you get the feminist women will stand up to it and fight it. Until I heard reading from someone, and she said, that God is rephrasing to women as Aser. That's a word and what it meant in the Bible. And basically, my eyes opened, and I thought, we women are basically put down in the same sentence as how God is speaking over himself. Yeah, it was so amazingly that I thought, we are no less than a man. We have
Yeah.
just different qualities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we think different and we act different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean us less, that we are
Yeah.
less than a man. Um,
And it's interesting that you say that, because I was reading somewhere the other day about the way that Jesus appeared to women first when he
yeah,
rose from the dead,
yeah,
because he knew that in whatever form he appeared,
they would
that
see
the
him.
women would believe him
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
just from speaking to him, from recognizing his voice.
yeah,
And he knew that they are amazing ambassadors for him, that
yeah,
they would go straight back to the guys who refused to believe it until they saw the empty tomb.
yeah, true.
And it's like, so the guys are looking for the facts, the women are looking for the heart, and like,
Yeah,
I believe that, like, I've just met Jesus, and they're like, no, but I need to see the empty tomb
yeah,
to then believe that
yeah.
Jesus may have risen from the dead.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's true. These days you hear a lot of new or you get a lot of how you say that revelations.
Mm,
Yeah, in that matter. Yeah,
yeah,
because if you look at 50 years back here in Holland, yeah, a woman was not working. If she did work outside the home, she was different.
yeah,
A woman should work in the home with the kids, stay home, and stuff like that.
yeah.
And these days, women work as much as men do.
Mm,
Yeah, so you get a really different view on what a woman should be in this world,
yeah,
while God is very clear on the task that we have.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Eh,
that was very much my mum. Like,
yeah,
she stopped work when she was pregnant with my brother, who's
yeah,
2 years older than me. She stopped work when she had him.
yeah,
Um, and I used to say that she never went back to work after that, but actually that was her gifting, that was her calling.
yeah,
She
yeah,
raised her family.
yeah,
And she is such a source of blessing to everybody in
yeah.
our family, because
Amazing.
that was her gifting. And I think somewhere along the line, society's come along and said, actually,
Yeah,
you're just a stay-at-home mum.
yeah,
It's like, well, what is more of a calling than raising your children
yeah,
and being there for them?
yeah,
And when did society say that actually the work that your husband or your partner is doing is actually not enough financially?
yeah,
So now you need to go out
yeah,
and go to work so that you can have all these other things. You can go on these amazing holidays, and
yeah,
you
yeah,
need to be fulfilled outside of the home. And to be honest, me being a stay-at-home mom, I think the kids would have like, mum, can we please go to school? Can we please go to nursery? Because this is awful.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Because that is not my calling. But I think there's somewhere along the line, society's come in and said,
yeah,
actually, you can't afford for you both.
yeah,
So you end up then with the mum going out to work to
yeah,
earn a wage to come back to pay for a babysitter or to pay for childcare.
yeah,
And so it's like you get the wages in on one hand and it goes out to the babysitter in another
yeah,
hand.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, so who's getting fulfilled here?
yeah, 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 yeah. And also a lot of stress comes in then. Yeah. So
And mum guilt as
yeah,
well.
also, yeah,
A
yeah,
lot of mum guilt.
yeah.
Even when you're there for the kids.
Yes,
Mum guilt.
we women are
I'm like,
so
and I'm like, I still feel bad.
yeah, 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 yeah. Well, this was amazing, Karen, to speak with you. Truly, and I could speak on with you for
Me
another
too.
hour. But yeah, there is one last question I have for you. You know that what would you say to the women that want to invest in God's kingdom? What is your advice?
Um, you mean invest financially or invest
Time, in spirit, in yeah, whatever.
Yeah, there are so many ways of doing that. You know, from a financial point of view, it says in the Bible that God has given us the ability to create wealth,
Yeah,
and He has so much to say on that. And so, I mean, I actually work with a company that works with Christian women. For me, my first port of call was to invest in me
yeah,
and to learn how to lead me better.
yeah,
You know, what is leadership about? And I went on a course to do that. And it changed my thoughts about what leadership was about. And then because I looked at who I was, my identity in Jesus
yeah,
as a daughter of the King, and realizing, you know, we're royalty. We're
yeah,
serving the King. He's not a Disney King. And this revelation hit me
yeah,
just a few weeks ago, and I wrote down that first word, I am a daughter of the King. And I felt God saying, yeah, but I'm not a Disneyfied king.
yeah,
And I thought about that, and I'm like, yeah, he's not this guy that went off and died. He's not a guy that went off on business and left his daughter alone. He's
no,
not somebody that married an evil stepmom
no,
and then died and left her. And he's not this kind of like big God that's powerful of the seas and has not got time to
yeah,
see what his daughter's up to. He's like, I'm not a Disneyfied God, a Disneyfied father. He says, I am your father. He says, I'll never leave you or forsake you. I will be there all the time.
yeah,
And so even that revelation of my identity in God and who he is as my father, I'm like, that changes everything.
yeah,
How do I see finances through God's eyes? You know, he talks more about finances than he does about heaven and hell in the
yeah,
Bible, because
yeah,
we touch it every day. We deal with it every day. And what is my attitude towards finance and
yeah,
actually
yeah,
having wealth and creating wealth and resourcing people? And even when it comes to resourcing people, what judgments did I hold
yeah,
over who should get that?
yeah,
Because I was shocked at the judgments that I held over people. You know, I was given a challenge to have like £20 in my purse,
yeah,
and to say, right, give that to whoever God feels that you're going to give that to this week.
yeah,
And I knew specifically who God wanted me to give it to as I walked into a shop, and there was a guy sat outside going, have you got any change, love?
yeah,
I'm like, no, I haven't. Walked straight into the shop, and God's like, did you just lie to him? And I'm like, no, God, seriously, right? He's going to spend it on drugs. He's going to spend it on drink, and all this stuff.
yeah, yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah.
He's like, that's nothing to do with you.
No,
And I'm like, oh,
yeah.
you know,
Those are lessons. Yeah,
and they're tough lessons because I didn't want to see that all that was inside of me.
yeah,
And I went out to this guy and I'm like, okay, I lied. I says, I have got some cash. I says, I really feel that God wants you to have this. And straight away, he's like, oh, fantastic. He says, I'm going to go home, give it to my mate. He says, he's going to sort of like buy some weed with it. He says, but I get a bed for the night because he's charging me £20 a night to sleep on his sofa.
wow, yeah,
And I'm like, wow. He says, so I don't have to sit here for the next 6 hours to get
okay.
enough money for my bed for the night. And I'm sat
Oh,
there like, oh, God, like, I know that money's going on drink.
yeah, yeah,
I
but
also know
yeah,
that it taught me a massive lesson that were worth far more than £20 to me.
yeah,
And I needed to get that because
yeah,
I needed to get that out of me.
yeah,
So for me, it would be just go on a journey of investing in yourself, investing in finding out who you are
yeah,
in God, and find ways of creating that extra income.
Yeah.
Because God will show you that.
That's truly amazing, Karen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
And it was a joy speaking to you.
It's been amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Heb je na het beluisteren vragen over hetgeen je hebt gehoord? Dan kun je contact opnemen met info@moniqueolden.nl. Ook op de website www.moniqueolden.nl kun je meer informatie vinden over de gasten die spreken en de onderwerpen die worden gebruikt.